Hello everyone. Today we'll view demo on how to set up resource pools and how to configure project enterprise resources. Let's understand a brief of how to set up resource pools. So what are resource pools? Resource pools holds the project enterprise labor resources of an organization, that is the employees present in an organization. And how do we want to group that respective employee in the resource pool? So resource pools are created based on certain grouping rules depending upon the organization requirement. For example, resource pools can be created based on geography, skills, divisions or departments, etc. It's purely the organization stand how do they want to group their resources so that the respective resource managers of an organization can quickly identify a resource whenever a resource request arises for any respective project. So how do you configure resource pool? Let's create a resource pool in the application and then assign resource pool owner and resource pool managers for that respective resource pool and then tag a resource to that resource pool. So before dwelling into application, let's understand what is the data we want to configure for resource pool. So here if you observe the sample data which I kept in this Excel sheet, now I would like to create a resource pool which is based on purely on the skill set. So here I classified the resource pool into technical resource pool and administration resource pool. So the whole idea is like I understand a resource whenever is entering into organization, whether he's a technical or administration person. So it becomes easy for a resource manager for identifying whenever a technical resource is required just by getting into this resource pool and adding a available person from this resource. In the similar way, even if he requires an administration person, he can get into this administrative resource pool and pick the employee from there. So basically a resource pool holds a pool owner and the pool manager. So let's get into the application to understand and create the resource pool which we kept over here. Open the application, navigate to setup and maintenance, choose project execution management under setup and search for the task manage resource pool. Click on search. Here we can observe manage resource pools task has been populated. Click on manage resource pool to create a new resource pool. So basically we can see the resource pools which are already present in this instance. So we can minimize them as we wish to create a new resource pool which is purely based out of skill set. Click on this topmost task and click on plus to create a new resource pool. So our topmost resource pool is this. So paste the similar value in description also. And here we kept the tag owner as Akash Sharma. Let's select the pool owner from here and let's keep the resource pool managers Louis Cattors and Frank Simon. Search, enter the name, select the employee name and click on OK. Click on plus icon. And select the other manager name, that is Frank Simon. Click on search, select the employee details and click OK and click on save and close. So now we can see a new resource pool based on skill set has been created. So under this resource pool, I want to further classify into administration and technical as we discussed. Now click on create once again, specify technical resource pool, the name as, and paste the same in the description column and the owner as Johnny Abraham. Search for the employee, click on search, select the employee name and click OK. Now add the resource manager, resource pool manager. click OK, click on save and close. Now we can observe, and under the skill set, which is a resource pool based on skill set, now we have further created a technical resource pool. Let's create the administration resource pool also. Copy the name, paste the same value in the description column also. Select the pool owner, search for the name and click OK. Add the manager, click on search, Frank Simon, click on search and select the manager name and click OK and click on save and close. So now we can see resource pools have been created under the resource pool based on skills. Now let's get back to the Excel sheet and try to understand how resources can be tagged to these resource pools. So basically, what is meant by project enterprise resources? So project enterprise resources can be labor or expense. The name itself says when it is a labor, it's an employee or contingent worker. So basically these resource pools are capable of holding only labor resources, not the expense. So labor or expense resources can be assigned as resource in project plan. So basically these resources can be created through project enterprise resources task and can be assigned in the project plan. So how to configure project enterprise resource? So you can create a resource by specifying personal details and assigning resource to resource pool and assign cost and bill rates. To understand in a better way, I have kept the sample data in the resources sheet. So where I classified a resource into labor and expense and what details we can capture for a labor resource and what details we can capture for an expense resource. Okay, so let's get into application to further understand how can we create a labor resource or the expense resource. Since we are already in setup and maintenance, click on manage project and remove the spaces. So click on manage project enterprise resources, get into the task to create a new resource. So this is the manage project enterprise resources screen. So basically we will be available option with a name, email or primary project role. So to search for the already existing resources, or else you can provide the manager details and you can select the type, whether it is a labor or expense, and click on search to view the existing resources. However, our requirement is to create a new enterprise resource. So first we'll create a labor resource. To create a new labor resource, click on plus. So to create a project enterprise resource, this is the details which we can see over here. By default, it will be tagged to labor, the type as labor. And if you want to create an expense resource, you can select as expense. And this is the expense resource creation process. So let's go step by step. First, let's create a labor resource. So here there is a checkbox called create from HCM person. Assuming the employees are already present in the HCM module and HCM is being implemented, you can first click this checkbox and choose the employee directly from HCM person to create a project enterprise resources. So this eliminates the basically the need to enter the employee details and other stuff like employee name, employee manager details or phone details. Everything will be fed from HCM. So basically these are the employees which are already present in HCM module, and you can select any of the person and click on OK, which you can create as a project enterprise resource. But for time being, since Assuming HCM is not in scope and we want to create purely a labor resource directly from manage project enterprise resources task. Let's uncheck that create from HCM person, and now let's get into our Excel sheet and provide the values. So first our type is labor, which we already selected as labor, and give the first name, give the last name, the full name which we are expecting, specify the email ID, specify the start date of the employee detail. If the user account is required, like from Oracle standpoint of view, if he needs to access the application, Oracle application, you can enable this checkbox so that a user account can be created for this employee, and specify the calendar for the resource. It's the work timing for that respective employee, and what is the primary project role, a phone number, the manager details, who is reporting to. So if there is any resume attachments, you can click on plus icon and add the resume. So now let's get back to this important step, that is the resource management details. So select the resource pool for this employee. So since the employee is an engineer and I want to tag him to the technical resource pool. So click on search, type the resource pool name, click on search and select the resource pool name and click OK, and choose the membership start date from 27/12. And if there are any rate details, you can specify it. So we kept as cost as it as 80 and bill rate as 100. Let's specify the same. Click on save and close. So here we can observe a resource has been created in the instance and he is tagged to technical resource pool with the given rate details. So if there is a user account, you can click on activate user account. For time being, let's save and close the resource. So here we can see the same on entering the Vikram name. As I said, on clicking search, we can see the employee details which has been tagged to a specific resource pool. In a similar way, let's create a non-labor resource or the expense resource. Keep the type as expense. So a non-labor or expense resource can be mapped to a specific expenditure type. And if in case you don't want to tag to any specific expenditure type, you can leave it blank and simply enter the expense resource name. So get back to our Excel sheet and just copy and paste the name and description. After entering the resource name and description, click on save and close to complete expense resource creation. To search for the resource, if the type as expense, and paste the resource name, just click on search. Here we can see a non-labor resource. Let's navigate to setup and maintenance work area. In the setup, choose project execution management and search for the tasks manage resource pool. Open the task manage resource pools. Let's get into technical resource pool. So here we can observe the resource whom we tag to technical resource pool has been populated over here. So the resource pool owner or pool managers for this resource pool can use this resource for staffing purposes. In rare cases, if he should be moved to any other resource pool, they can use move resources to move the resource from this resource pool to any other resource pools. Thanks for watching the video, and this completes our demo of how to create a resource pool and how to configure project enterprise resource and how to tag that respective resource to the resource pool. Thanks for watching.